Good day, everybody. I hope that you're well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our basically grade 8 English lesson on synonyms and antonyms. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English language arts. We're doing grade 8, basically advanced writing. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of synonyms and antonyms. All right, so we are doing synonyms and antonyms. So, chapter is synonyms and antonyms. Our subject is English language arts. We're doing grade 8. Basically, at grade 8 advanced writing. And then the lessons that we are going to be focusing on is to choose synonyms and to choose antonyms. All right. So when it comes to synonyms and antonyms, right? Starting with a synonym. A synonym or synonyms are words with the same meaning or basically almost the same meaning. So synonyms are words with the same or nearly the same meaning. So same meaning or almost the same meaning. And if we look at, let's say, basically an example of synonyms, right? It says the words cheerful and buoyant, they are synonyms. So you can either use the word cheerful, you can use the word buoyant. It basically either means the same thing or almost the same thing. Because both these words, which is cheerful and the word buoyant, it means to be happy or upbeat. So it means happy and upbeat or upbeat. And then we have an antonym, right? Antonyms are words with the opposite meaning. So it's basically the opposite of synonyms. So synonyms are words with the same meaning or almost the same meaning, whereas antonyms are words with the opposite meaning. And if we look at the word, for example, counterfeit, right? The antonym of counterfeit, right, is real. So the opposite of counterfeit means real. And how do we know that the opposite of counterfeit is real? Is because the word, the meaning of counterfeit, it means it's either fake or it is forged. Usually, if they say it's counterfeit goods, then it means that it is fake goods. It's not real. So it means that the opposite of counterfeit means that it is real. All right. So these are basically synonyms and antonyms. And once again, we said synonyms are words with the same meaning or nearly or almost the same meaning, whereas we have antonyms, and antonyms are words with the opposite meaning. So it's the opposite meaning of what the specific word means. So now we're going to identify some synonyms and we're going to identify antonyms. So you're first going to identify some synonyms, right? So I'm going to write down a few words, just basic words, and then you're going to try and identify the word that is the same as or almost the same as that word. And when it also comes to writing, you can basically, is the word jazz up your writing. You can make your writing more interesting by, for example, maybe giving the synonym of a specific word. So instead of maybe just giving a basic word of what that means, you can maybe give the synonym of that word, and that is also to basically make your writing more interesting. All right. So if we look at a few words, right, we're going to find the opposite of, we're going to find the words that is the same or that means the same and that almost means the same as the word that I'm going to write down, right? So just basic words. Speak. We need to identify the words that's the same as or almost the same as speak. Something is false, then what is it? If they are spreading lies or rumors about you and it is false, what is another word for saying it is false? What is the word that's the same as join? Remember, we are not trying to identify words that if we do decide to, you know, when not to decide, but when it comes to where we need to write essays or we need to have a writing piece, then it means that you can basically write down the words that is the same as or almost the same as. And that is basically to make your writing more interesting. What is another word for rich? Being rich. And what is the opposite of the word occur? I try to look at words that is a bit, you know, you can say maybe it's a bit a big of words. Not really. It's these are simple words. But instead of just giving you the basic words, So now we need to find the words that's the same as or almost the same as. So speak, another word for speak. So speak, another word for speak is to talk. Talk. If we were to find a word that's the same as or almost the same as false, what is another word for false? Something is false. And another word for false, it means that it's untrue. It's not the truth. So it is untrue. Join. If you were to join, what is another word for join? And another word for join is to connect. Connect is a word that is the same as or almost the same as join. Another word for rich, we can say it is wealthy. So wealthy is the same as or almost the same as rich. And then occur. And the word that's the same as or almost the same as occur, it is happen, right? And that is basically words with the same as or almost the same as, or we can say nearly the same meaning. All right, so now we're going on to antonyms, right? We're going to look at a few examples of antonyms before we go to aplusstudents.ca. All right. So we said antonyms are words with the opposite meaning, right? So we're going to look at words. We're going to identify words, and then we're going to find the word that is opposite in meaning, the opposite of that word. All right. And if we look at the first word, right? The first word, to abandon. What is the opposite of abandon? What is the opposite of abandon? Active. What is the opposite of active? If you're not active, then you're what? What is the opposite of encourage? If you're not encouraged, then what is the opposite? What is the opposite of combine? And then the opposite of believe. We need to find the opposite of these words. And if we were to identify the opposite of these words, right, then the opposite of abandon is to keep. So instead of abandoning something, you can keep it. The opposite of being active, not inactive, but idle. You see, these are also words that you can use, for example, when you're writing, and this can basically make your writing more interesting. Idle. Instead of just saying, oh, I'm not active, I'm inactive, you can say idle. Encourage. The word that's the opposite of encourage is discourage. The word that is the opposite of combine, instead of combining things, you separate it. It's not together. And if you don't believe in someone or something, the opposite of believe is to doubt. Oopsie. And these are words that are antonyms, and antonyms are words with opposite meaning. It is the opposite of the word that you basically see. And we said synonyms are words with the same or nearly the same meaning, right? All right, so now we're going to a+students.ca and we're going to choose synonyms and choose antonyms. And before we go there, if we look at both synonyms and we look at antonyms, like I said, you can basically use these words, right? To basic, I'm not saying the words that we use, but I mean like when it comes to synonyms and antonyms, we can use words like synonyms or antonyms to basically, make our writing more interesting. Because instead of just using the same old boring words that we repeat all the time, because most times we write how we speak, but if you use synonyms within your writing, it basically makes your writing more interesting because now you're using more bigger words, more interesting words, right? And that is basically to either describe something or to put more emphasis on something, right? All right, so now we're going to a+students.ca and we're going to choose the synonym and then we go to our test. All right, and if we now, okay, we already went over synonyms. Let's just rather go straight to our test, right? So we'll go straight to our test because we already went over what synonyms are, right? And we already went through a few words. We gave quite a few examples of synonyms, words with the same meaning or almost the same meaning. All right, so which word is a synonym of tedious? The synonym of tedious. Is it detailed or is it boring? So tedious, is it detailed or is it boring? And if we were to look at the word that's the same as tedious, then we can say tedious is boring, right? So you see, instead of just saying, oh, it's so boring, we can say tedious. The next word says, which word is a synonym of maternal? The synonym of maternal. So maternal, is it motherly or is it mammalian? Mammalian. Maternal, is it motherly or mammalian? And if we were to identify or choose a synonym of maternal, then it is motherly. It's like the feeling of a caring mother. So it's more motherly. It's like the caring mother. It's maternal. What is the synonym of covered? Covered. Is it undisguised or secret? Covered. So covered, is it undisguised or secret? And if we were to identify the word that is a synonym of covered, and then we can say it is secret. So it's the word that is same as or almost the same as. Covered. All right, we need to say which word is a synonym of disperse. Disperse, is it scatter or is it shed? Disperse. Is it scatter or shed? And if we were to identify the word that is the same as or almost the same as disperse, then we can say it is scatter. All right. Which word is the same as or the synonym of punctual? Is it option one, on time, or is it responsible? On time or responsible? And if we were to identify the words that's the same as or almost the same as punctual, then we can say it is if you're punctual, you are on time. All right, so now we're going to antonyms, right? We're going to choose antonyms. Remember, antonyms are words with the opposite meaning of what it means. And we're going to out test because we already went through quite a few examples of antonyms, right? Words with opposite meaning. So now we're going to out test. We're going to choose antonyms. We need to say which word is an antonym of arid. Is it cold or is it wet? The opposite of arid. And the opposite of arid, I think it is wet because arid is something to do with either little or no rain or it being dry. So I assume arid is being wet. Yes. So arid means it's almost like it's dry. It's like the land is dry or there's almost like little or no rain. So which means that the opposite of arid is of course it is wet. There's a lot of rain, right? What is the antonym of abate? Is it abate or abate? Abate. Is it to increase or to support? The opposite of abate. Increase or support. Abate. And if we were to identify the antonym of abate, then we would say it is increase. All right. All right. What is the antonym of biased? Bias. Is it supportive or is it fair? The antonym of biased. Remember, if you're biased, right, then you unfairly judge somebody or something. So, what is the opposite of biased? And the opposite is of bias, we would say it is being fair. Because remember, bias is when you're unfair. So the opposite of bias is when you're being fair. All right, let's do one last one. We need to say which word is the antonym of trivial. Trivial. Antonym of trivial. Is it important or is it minor? The opposite of trivial. So trivial, is it important or minor? And if we were to identify the antonym, the word that is opposite of trivial, we can say it is important. All right. All right, so that is the end of our lesson on synonyms and antonyms. We said synonyms are words with the same meaning or nearly the same meaning of the other word. And then we looked at an antonym and we said an antonym is a word with the opposite meaning of what the specific word means, right? And if we look at, let's say, what the core of our lesson is, right? If we link it to advanced writing, then we can say when it comes to synonyms and antonyms, we can use these words, right? Similar words like synonyms, opposite words like antonyms, and that is basically to make our writing more interesting. So instead of just using your minor, simpler words that we constantly use all the time, right? Because we write how we speak, we can, for example, make our writing more interesting by adding words that are the same as or opposite of certain words, right? Sometimes the words may seem a bit big, but at least when you, for example, look in the dictionary and you maybe find the meaning of the word, you'll be able to say, okay, it's quite interesting. And you'll be able to make your writing more interesting by adding synonyms and antonyms to your writing piece. All right, so this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. And I really hope that you're going to have a good day further. So, till next time, goodbye.